Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our Facebook Live. I'm Julia Marvin, and I'm the marketing manager here at Jefferson Center. And I'm so excited to be joined today by Sam Taylor. Sam is our youth suicide prevention coordinator here at Jefferson Center. And September is actually National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. And this can be a difficult topic to talk about. And there's a lot of myths and stigma surrounding suicide, which is why it's important that we're talking about it. So Sam's going to be here today to kind of talk us through, answer some of your questions and talk us through some information. But before we dive in, a little bit about Jefferson Center. We've been serving Jefferson County, Clear Creek County, and Gilpin County for over 60 years. And we're a nonprofit, community-focused mental health care and substance use services provider. And we offer hope and support to individuals and families who are struggling with mental health issues and substance use disorders. And so here at Jefferson Center, we're dedicated to suicide prevention and suicide prevention awareness in our communities year round. But this month is a great time to share resources and tools so that you can offer support to those in crisis, change the conversation from suicide to suicide prevention, and also to promote healing, help, and giving hope. And so one last thing, I do want to note that if you are in crisis, please call the Colorado Crisis Line at 1-844-493-8255, or you can actually text TALK to 38255, and support is available 24/7, 365 days a year. But we'll get started. So Sam, welcome. Thanks for joining us today. And I guess to start, as I mentioned, September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. And so what does that mean and why is it important?
Well, first, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here chatting with everyone. You kind of nailed it, right? When you were introducing our Facebook Live today, Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, we focus on suicide prevention in Jefferson Center and throughout our community all year round. But September, Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, is really just a time for us to be intentional about learning about resources, learning about prevention efforts, sharing those with people around us, supporting one another, and really changing our conversation to a conversation of hope around prevention and suicide prevention, not necessarily only suicide.
Great, thank you. And so I guess the first question would be, how can I learn about suicide prevention to support others?
Sure. So there are so many different ways that we can be learning about suicide prevention and educating ourselves. A couple that I would recommend. First, this month, Jefferson Center, we are offering 3 separate QPR trainings. We're going to be offering 2 in English and 1 in Spanish. They're online, free, and open to anyone who would like to attend. QPR stands for Question, Persuade, and Refer. It's a suicide prevention gatekeeper training where you can attend this training to learn about what are the suicide prevention warning signs, what should I do when I'm noticing those warning signs with someone, how do I listen to offer that support, and then what? What kind of resources can I get people to? So QPR is sometimes referred to as the emotional equivalent to CPR. Right? If you're trained in CPR, you notice someone's having a medical emergency, you can jump in and provide this life-saving effort until the professionals get involved. Because you provide CPR does not mean you're going to be this person's ongoing cardiologist, but it does mean you provide support till the professionals get there. Same goes for QPR. When you're trained in QPR and you notice that someone's having a mental health emergency, you can jump in, provide the elements of QPR, provide this life-saving effort until the professionals get involved. Just because you provide QPR doesn't mean you're this person's ongoing therapist for one line of support, but we can offer support until the professionals get there. So it's a really great training that is available several times this month in English and Spanish to everyone. And secondly, another way we can really learn about suicide prevention is to go to our website. So if you go to our website, which is www.jcmh.org/suicide-prevention, you can find very similar information about common warning signs, what to do when you're seeing those warning signs, how to have those conversations, and where to get people for that support.
Great. And so QPR training sounds really interesting. Like, what kind of person or like, should go to QPR training?
Really great question. So QPR is considered a gatekeeper training, and a gatekeeper is any of us who have interaction with other people, any of us who engage with anyone, whether that's in your home, in your workplace, at schools, wherever it may be. So QPR is appropriate for adults over the age of 18 and anyone, because we can all be learning about warning signs, learning to have these conversations to be able to intervene and offer support when anyone in our lives needs that.
That's a great point, that it's, helpful for anybody to take it, because, mental health, mental health issues can impact anybody. It doesn't just, mental health disorders don't discriminate. And so I think that's a great point, that, it's important for all of us to, to really take the lead in learning about suicide prevention, and what we can do so that we have those skill sets to help people, if the situation arises. So that's a really great point. So you mentioned a little bit about finding some of the resources on our website about, warning signs and what to do. So could you talk a little bit about that? Like, what are some of the warning signs to look out for to help prevent suicide?
So we are all very unique people. We're all very different human beings. And so warning signs are really different for different people. When you go to our website, you'll see a lot of the really more common warning signs, which really boil down to being changes. When we're noticing changes in people's behavior, we want to check in with them. Sometimes we notice someone has a change in their behavior. Maybe all of a sudden they're in a really great mood. We think, oh, they finally cleared off that pile of work off their desk. Or they're in a really bad mood, we think, oh, they really need a nap. Sometimes we think we know kind of why the changes happen in the people's lives around us, but we don't unless we ask. So whenever you're noticing changes, check in with one another.
And so, so along with that, so what are some of the common myths about suicide? Because, I feel like I've heard a lot, and so, what have you heard, and what are those myths, and what's the truth about them?
So there are a lot of myths out there about suicide. And if you participate in our QPR trainings or check out the website, you'll see quite a few of them. But to point out a couple, one that is very common is, if I ask someone about suicide, if I talk about suicide, I'm going to give them the idea. I'm going to put that idea into their head. That is a myth. You cannot put the idea of suicide into someone else's head by asking them about it. In fact, by asking someone very directly and openly about suicide, that might be the thing that helps to save their life. You might be the only person who's ever thought to ask them about that. So please know that you can't put the idea of suicide into someone's head. And I always encourage you, if you're concerned about someone, don't hesitate. Just ask them about it. Another myth that is pretty common is sometimes people believe, if someone decides that they want to end their life, there's nothing we can do to stop it. There's nothing we can do to prevent that. That's a myth. We know that in most cases, suicide is preventable. And many times, suicide is preventable because many times people do not want to die. People are experiencing great pain and they want that pain to end. And so by reaching out, being a listening ear, and offering support, we can help to prevent suicide. In fact, there was a recent survey that was actually just released this morning that noted that over 90% of Americans believe that suicide is preventable, which is a really encouraging statistic. And it really goes to showing that that original statement, that it can't be prevented, it's a myth. And people are really starting to recognize that, which is great.
That is great. Yeah, I think that that's such a compelling point, of that it's preventable. And I'm sure you go much more into detail in this in your QPR training, but do you have any tips for, you mentioned kind of, if you see kind of a change in behavior in somebody, and you're concerned, to have a conversation, do you have any tips for how to start that conversation?
I would encourage someone, if you are ever worried about someone who you think might be thinking about suicide, I would encourage you to ask them about it in a very open and non-judgmental way. Be there to listen and just be a supporting person, knowing that you don't have to solve their problems. You just have to be a listening ear and then get them to the referrals, get them to the professionals, right? Provide that life-saving effort until the professionals get involved. One of those professionals is the Colorado Crisis Services, like what Julia mentioned earlier.
And so that's a good point too. So once you're in that situation and you've talked and lent listening ear and or I mean, even if you're concerned about somebody but maybe not sure what you should do, or if you're ready to have that or how to have that conversation and need some support, who should people contact if someone they know, or even themselves if they need help?
Sure. So we have a lot of really great resources in our communities. A couple that I would recommend. First, you can reach out to us at Jefferson Center by calling 303-425-0300 to make an appointment with a therapist or access any of our other services. Or you can, if you need more immediate support, you can go to our walk-in center that's located at 4643 Wadsworth Boulevard in Wheat Ridge. The walk-in center is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So you can reach out to us at Jefferson Center, or you can contact Colorado Crisis Services. I know Julia gave that number. I'll give it again by calling 844-493-8255 or texting TALK to 83255. And again, that's also available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And you can reach out to these services if you're worried about yourself, if you're worried about someone else, or do it together. Call with the person that you might be worried about.
That's a great idea. So talking a little bit about kind of how to support suicide prevention, what can we do? What can we do as a community to support suicide prevention?
So other than participating in a training, because participating in trainings and learning about suicide prevention, that's so important. But other than that, you could share this information about like on those websites or these trainings, this Facebook Live, share that with your friends, your family members, people you're friends with on Facebook. Share this information widely. You can take care of yourself. Take care of yourself and check in with those around you. This is kind of that you can't pour from an empty cup concept. We have to really take care of ourselves, do whatever we need to do for self-care, make sure that we're healthy, that we're taken care of, so that then we can take care of one another. We can check in with one another. Send a text to your friend, just checking in. When we're taking care of ourselves and checking in with our friends, our family members, our colleagues, that is suicide prevention. That is really supporting one another. You can participate in an event. The American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, every year they have an Out of the Darkness walk. It's a little bit different this year in the COVID-19 world that we're kind of living in right now. So instead they're having a drive to fight suicide out of the darkness experience. You can get more information on the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention website. That's going to take place on Saturday, September 27th. So you can participate in an event. And then finally, for those who want to support in other ways, you could also make a donation to suicide prevention efforts. You can make a donation to support suicide prevention at Jefferson Center by going to coloradogives.com/Jefferson Center and make a donation if you would like to support our suicide prevention efforts in the community.
That's so great. There's so many different things we can do. You may have mentioned this, but it's probably good to reiterate. So the QPR trainings, so we're doing them online for now. And so where would someone go to sign up for a QPR training with Jefferson Center?
So you can go to our website, and we might ask somebody to plop that link in the chat if that's okay. We'll put the link there. You can go to our website to sign up for any of those trainings through Eventbrite. There's 2 trainings in English, 1 training in Spanish during the month of September. Those will be online via Zoom. Like I said, they're appropriate for any adult to participate in those trainings. To participate in those trainings, you will need access to the internet and a device that has a video capability. The trainings are 90 minutes long.
Great. That's, it sounds like that's a really good jumping off point to learn more and be able to help people. And also, yeah, sharing all of our resources and, helping to get the word out. So Sam, thank you. So I have one more question for you. What's one thing that you think it's important for people to know that we haven't covered?
One thing that's important that we haven't covered.
You can have two things if you want to.
There's so many things.
Yeah.
I think one of the most important things that we may have covered, but I think is important to reiterate, is that we all can play a role in preventing suicide. We can all be reaching out and supporting one another. Sometimes when people think about suicide prevention, at the beginning of the live today, you mentioned it was a scary topic. It doesn't have to be a scary topic. When you learn, when you talk to each other, when you learn about different resources, it can really be more of a normalized conversation where it doesn't have to be scary and we can all be reaching out to offer support. And that's what I would really challenge us all to do. We talk about suicide prevention and suicide prevention awareness being so important, truly year round, but I really just challenge us all this month in September to maybe just focus more intention on continuing to learn about those efforts, learn about resources, take care of yourselves, and just check in with one another to offer support and be there for yourself and the people in your lives.
Yeah, Sam, I think that's so great. You're right. I think that's a great challenge for all of us to do this month and a great point that we can all really, help prevent suicide and, make it a less scary conversation and normalize it. And that starts with all of us, by learning and then talking with people about it. And I think that's so great too, about self-care and, making sure that we're taking care of ourselves as well. And so I guess that's the challenge that I'm going to give to everybody, all of our Facebook followers, is what's the one thing that you're going to do this month, or more things to help prevent suicide, and really having intention with that. And so, Sam, thank you so much for joining us today. And to everybody, no matter what you're facing in life, like if you're feeling overwhelmed, worried, or stressed, just know that Jefferson Center is here for you, and we are open, accepting new clients, and accessing care is easier than ever with virtual appointments. And so you can visit our website at jcmh.org or follow us on Facebook here for more information and resources. And you can also reach us by calling at 303-425-0300. Thanks so much and have a great day.
Thank you.